I need to ask y'all something. Who else is fed up with the distractions? We got to talk about how Trump is trying to distract the American people by starting new wars. This whole trick that Trump is pulling on us right now, he's doing all this like people are going to somehow forget about the Epstein files when they're not. They need to release them shits because things are getting dangerous in America. Because think of it like this: imagine a thief gets caught red-handed inside a house. Instead of owning up to it, he points out the window and starts screaming, "Look, there's a dude down the street stealing a bike." He wants you to run out of your front door and chase the bike thief so you don't notice that he's still standing in your living room with your TV in his hand. And that's exactly what's happening with these Epstein files. Trump is giving us plenty of bike thieves to chase. He's got the whole world staring at the military raid in Venezuela and his new Greenland tariffs when there's a much more bigger distraction happening right in our own backyard. And look what happens when we call it out. Like just a few days ago, I seen where a Ford worker in Michigan saw Trump standing on a walkway and decided to say what 80% of us is thinking. He called him a pedophile protector. And how did Trump, the leader of the free world, respond? Did he promise to release the other 99% of those Epstein files? No, he flipped the dude off. He gave this factory worker the middle finger and told him F you. And that factory worker was suspended for disrespect. But where's the respect for the victims? Where's the respect for the law? And folks done raised over $800,000 for that man in 4 days because the American people recognize a truth teller when they see one. So salute to him. He did more for transparency in 6 seconds than the DOJ has done in a year. But while they're flipping off auto workers, they're pointing rifles at their own citizens because right now, as I record this video, 1,500 active duty troops from the 11th Airborne are on standby to hit the streets in Minneapolis. And the narrative, they say they're quote unquote quelling insurrections. But look at the data. Crime in Minneapolis was down through 2025. The mayor said the city was safe. So why the Insurrection Act? Why the yellow vests in the tear gas? They're manufacturing a crisis in Minneapolis so they can justify putting soldiers out on the street. They want you to be afraid of a protest in Minnesota so you don't realize that the DOJ is technically breaking the law by hiding the Epstein files. And of course, we already know that Trump had already deployed National Guards into black cities like Washington, D.C., Memphis, and New Orleans. And he's justifying it by saying that he's sending in the military to restore law and order and protect our children from crime. But if you look at the data, the violent crime has been reduced before the boots even hit the pavement. So if the crime ain't rapidly increasing, why are these soldiers on the corner of minority neighborhoods? Why are we being told that there's danger from their own neighbors while the government is working overtime to protect people who actually harm children? Because 1 month ago, the legal deadline passed for the DOJ to release every single Epstein files. Instead, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, and her office have released 1% of the 5.2 million pages they're holding. And they ain't using the 500 government lawyers to find the truth. They use them to redact it. And look at the names they did give us, who they chose to show in that 1%. Bill Clinton and Michael Jackson. There was other twos, but these were the biggest ones. Now those two, those were the easiest targets because we know Bill Clinton got a lot to answer for because there's photos of him in that hot tub. And plus, we already know his history. We saw the Monica Lewinsky scandal and the abuse of power in the 90s. And the DOJ is using what we already know about Bill Clinton to distract us from what we don't know about the people who still in power today. And he's got a lot to answer for, but he's being used as a human shield for the others that Pam Bondi is still protecting. And Michael Jackson is a name that's always going to get people talking because of those false allegations that were made against him back in the day for messing with little boys, which just makes this whole thing seem believable to some people. And it's just a calculated move. They're so eager to sacrifice a deceased singer who's no longer here to defend himself or a former president because they're easy targets. And by flooding the news with these grainy old-ass photos, Pam Bondi handed us a quote-unquote win for transparency to where they'll even put a deceased singer's name out there with no evidence of a crime to where even a witness mentioned that he was at the house once, but she said he didn't do anything wrong. But they'll block out the names of these politically exposed people, the ones who are actually in office right now, to protect their reputation. And the DOJ has handed us these big names like a peace offering. They're saying, see, we gave you the big names. Go talk about them. And the hypocrisy is just staggering because Trump says he wants to protect children by putting the National Guards on the street of D.C. But it's like he has strategic amnesia when it comes to the 1994 case, because it's been alleged that Trump and Epstein assaulted a 13-year-old girl years ago. And since those files started resurfacing, a lot of people have been calling him a pedophile. Even for people who ain't sure what to believe, the allegations are fueling a lot of doubt, since, especially since people often bring up the cringy things Trump has said about his own daughter in the past, like when he joked about dating her or commented on her body, because Trump's known for being trifling. It just makes this whole situation look worse in the court of public opinion. And it seemed like the law has a long memory for a brother sitting in a jail cell on a 30-year drug charge in the inner city. But for the allegations involving a man in the Oval Office, suddenly the memory of the DOJ is wiped clean. And the bottom line is, you don't protect children by sending soldiers to patrol low-crime minority neighborhoods and treating our citizens like an enemy within. No, you protect them by opening the vault, because if the goal is truly law and order, then the law should apply to the people sitting in the highest office, not just the ones being policed on the sidewalk. Pam Bondi, open the files. No more redactions, no more distractions. And that's all I got to say. This is Big Brother's Perspective signing out. I'm out. Peace.